Welcome, everyone. Thoughts from the deep state, the melting snowflake. It's the House of Prozorov. I'm in a new state and I'm enjoying it. But I want to bring back a second video in this series. The galaxy. I mean, it's expansive. We don't think small when we think the galaxy. We think big. We think huge. We think more than enough. And projection, it becomes our reality. It really does. It seems like magic, but if the masses of people project stuff, whatever they project, it will become what society embraces. For example, we've been through a period of embracing that everyone can't have nice things, it's crazy that someone should own three houses. Someone shouldn't have five cars in their driveway. I mean, we've been doing that. It's been downsizing, downsizing, downsizing. And I know a lot of it is for environmental need, and that is part of the good aspect of it. But on the other end, it's also forcing shortages where people, they don't have a single car, they don't have a single house. Um, and some people think that's good. They think that's good. And I say that, and hold on one second. I say that because I say that because people are uh, you know, um, can be just the biggest roadblock can be people, not the rules of nature, not society's ability to meet those needs. The economy has the ability to meet those needs, but people become tyrants. They're upset if someone gets a meal. You just say, well, that's crazy. But no, deep down, that is the problem. It is a simple thought process in someone's head that others don't deserve to survive. That shouldn't be a thought that a just, upstanding, decent, modern, non barbaric society should ever have. That should be identified as insane. I'm not talking about a passing joke like when you're sick of somebody and you might say something in passing you don't mean. You want to be careful, right? um but that's not the where the setting is. The setting should not be on that, and it is thinking there's people that don't have the right to eat, to own things, to have homes, to have cars, to eat well, to educate themselves, to have time off, and to have good health. Who in God's name would even project such things like that? Well, who wrote the concept of the devil? We could get metaphysical about it and say that it was handed down by the gods. They describe to us what the devil is, but the devil is a reflection of what mankind can be. Forget whether God or Satan or the devil or Satan or whatever exists in any religion. Again, people have to be able to describe it and understand it for it to even have any meaning, right? So the devil has no meaning unless we give it meaning. And people gave it that meaning because really it is nothing but a reflection on mankind. Now, I'm not getting into the arguments today of whether there's demons or Satan and active things out there to frustrate people. That's not what this is all about. This is getting deep into what people hold in their mind as a concept. And what they hold in their mind as concepts, they push into reality. They push it into reality. 40, 50 years ago, not difficult to pay your rent, not that hard to have a car, not that hard to save up a little bit of money. But there were other things going on too. It still wasn't always easy for the baby boomers. I get that. But now we're in a really a limited society where people are lucky to have a 500 square foot apartment in some areas. That's a luxury. Having a toilet is a luxury. We've transformed the entire society, and meanwhile, the wealth of the nation is growing exponentially. It's people are more wealthier than ever. So it has nothing to do with that we don't have enough in this world to meet the needs of people. We have way more than enough. There's enough for the needs of everyone in the world, but not for the greed of everyone. That was Mahatma Gandhi. And exactly right. Exactly right. I mean, we know that years before India's liberation from Britain, they were being starved by the British. The British were taking their food and exporting it to their other to the UK itself and to other nations at the time, where people are so ignorant and stupid they don't even know how to keep the people that are actually benefiting them well off. I mean, you're going to enslave people, but then sort of starve them. I mean, isn't that like, killing the goose that laid the golden egg? I mean, that just shows you the level of stupidity that runs deep in society. And it's not an exaggeration, it's truth, it's real, it's fact. You go back through history. Some idiot came up with this idea that's renowned as a historical figure when he or she, usually a he, was just impulsed with the most barbaric ideas and the lack of respect for humanity. Where does that come from? It's ingrained in some people, in their families, in their social networks. Um, and I believe there is enough for everyone. I mean, if we want a good economy, we need people with lots of money, right? And they're confident to buy. You can't sell anything if nobody has any money. Well, you could sell some things. You could find a few people that have some money. You could even try to barter if that's a possibility. You might not be able to do that because of the way the sell system is set up. You might need capital, dollars, or some kind of transitional coin in alt currency or meme coins or something like that. You've got to have something that relates to the dollar, whatever that might be. Bartering, possibility. I get that. We always need to find ways in the wilderness where there seems to be no way. So let me introduce myself again. This is House of Prozorov, Thoughts from the Deep State, the Melting Snowflake. We've been at it for a few years, coming out, saying what we think is so important to society, coming out with the truth. What is the truth? The truth will set us free. The idea of a gentleman, good friend of mine, was telling me about Peter Thiel, and in his writings, they thought there's two potential societies in the future. One is a Star Wars like society, and another is a Star Trek like society. And it seemed like Peter Thiel was arguing for the Star Wars society, right? So I'm relying on oral transmission of conversations and then giving it my own adjustment. That's how things change when it's handed down orally, as the Indians did, Native Americans. We all have deep respect, hopefully, for the people that originally inhabited the new world that we so call it. But Peter Thiel thought that a Star Wars society was more ideal than a Star Trek society. And I could see some aspects of that, because in Star Trek, we really don't see anyone owning a huge, gigantic mansion as we see as Princess Leia is growing up. You see that she lives in a beautiful home with a rich royal family, and Padme, and they come from great wealth, and they live in a mansion, and they have extreme amounts of access to material goods. But then you also have slavery that you see on these different Tatooine and all these other planetary systems in Star Wars. And Peter Thiel likes that because there's a chance to get really rich, or maybe a chance to get really poor. In a Star Trek society, it kind of seems like you have your little bunker. Well, it's not so little, but everybody has like a bunker. Nobody's really distinguished through their wealth. And so which direction will we go? Maybe we can do both. I don't know. But if we have to make a choice, people are going to be in their corner for that, right? And greed can be good when it drives people to work really hard to do things. But greed can also be stifling, and it can do some of the worst things that we see in humanity, where people are starving and don't have access to food and water and proper housing and shelter. And what doesn't get said needs to be said. And I'm going to say something I hardly ever hear. It's just a fact. When you compromise somebody's health and well-being, even temporarily, you may permanently cause them major issues. If they cannot eat properly, that may have long-term unreversible consequences to their health, their mental health, their physical health. They don't grow right, their mind doesn't develop right. If you have prolonged stress, if you create prolonged stressors by having poor housing, poor access to things that really stress people out, you may do permanent damage as well. So we cannot have these lapses. If we're to have a civil society, we can't have these lapses to teach people lessons. We got to do a better job at teaching people lessons by other means than punishing them through threatening their long-term existence, right? With stress and lack of nutrition and lack of housing. These are not we talk as if like lack of housing, poor nutrition, lack of opportunity is just a temporary thing, but it could have permanent consequences on someone's existence. You that moment, that present moment, you need to have proper food. That present moment, you need to have proper housing. That present moment, you need to have some stress relief, some symbol of balance and harmony. You need those things. If they go out of balance, they may do damage. And we don't talk about the damage that those concepts have. We just talk about whether people deserve that or not. We seem to shy away from thinking about consequences of bad social economic systems. We do. We don't mention that. We don't mention that temporary homelessness could be devastating long term. Poor nutrition could be devastating long term. Poor sleep, although Elon Musk seems to be this non-sleep warrior and he can go 5 days without sleep and he's still a genius. There's no scientific evidence to really support that. The military actually has to drug their people up if they're going to keep them up in many cases and help deal with all the antioxidants. The oxidants are that will be and bad chemicals that will be produced in a human body a lot of times when you don't get proper sleep. You'll need better nutrition, caffeine, all sorts of things to create this artificial environment. Elon Musk seems to act like all you got to do is stay up a few nights and you're going to get a lot of money. No, poor people who have bad housing, inadequate areas to sleep, poor nutrition, they always get poor sleep. Are they like the smartest people on the planet for it? No, Elon Musk is out of this world in many ways. And we know that he does have some kind of probably likely some psychological disorders that have caused him to facilitate to many different areas. He may be a genius on one hand and he may be diabolical in others. We don't know. I'll keep my mind open as I watch the media. Anyhow, this is Thoughts from the Deep State, the melting snowflake, House of Prozorov. Wishing you well, telling you that projection becomes reality. This is the second episode in the series. And let me close again with the statement: there is enough for the need of everyone in this world, but not enough for the greed of everyone. So take care. I'll see you guys later.